I just want to begin by talking about origin stories. I love origin stories, especially the ones in superhero movies where they start at a low point. There is uncertainty, loss, and fear, but at a pivotal moment, that pain becomes purpose, and a hero rises, leading to a transformative ending. For many years, my story didn't feel like the ones that I really admired. For many years, I truly believed that there was never going to be transformation. So this is me as a child. My origin story started with crippling self-doubt. I was constantly fearful of what to say and what to do. And school didn't really help the situation because I didn't test well. I just recently found out I'm dyslexic. I couldn't really retain information like how my peers were doing. So I started to believe that I wasn't smart, creative, and problem solving was something like other people did. And so I stopped trusting my own ideas, I stopped taking risks, I stopped looking for opportunities to lead. And so my origin story was really defined by a severe lack of confidence and also a deficit mindset. But luckily, outside of school, I still have my superhero stories. My favorite are the Green Lanterns. They are intergalactic peacekeepers who wield the most powerful, most advanced technology in the universe, the Green Lantern ring. These rings are artificial intelligent tools. Whoever wields it, whatever they imagine, they can create. So you can see here, John Stewart has created constructs based on his imagination. And this whole idea of using technology to do amazing things really resonated with me because as a former tech specialist, in educational technology, that's kind of the hope. You want to use emerging technologies to really amplify what's possible for students. And over the years, I've been trying my best to document all the cool things that students have been able to do with technology, like students creating NFTs, my favorite being students coming together for a performance, like creating music, writing a song, and even having a dance choreography, all possible because of technology, which is kind of cool. So just like how Green Lantern rings can transform imagination into powerful creations, that's kind of like what our students are doing. We're equipping students with these technologies to really unlock their potential, to help them to imagine boldly, but also to take once impossible ideas and turn them into real-world innovations. And now with Gen AI, almost like we're handing over a Green Lantern ring to our students to hopefully amplify their empathetic, creative, problem-solving powers. But not everyone can be a Green Lantern in the comic books, just like how not everyone can use Gen AI in a meaningful and impactful way. In the comic books, Green Lanterns are chosen. So there's a search throughout the whole universe of sentient beings who have the right mindsets to then use the power with empathy and compassion. And an example of this is Kyle Rayner. He is one of the most awesome Green Lanterns of all time. He was chosen by the other Green Lantern because of his mindsets. So he was actually an artist before he was a hero. He had a creative mindset. He was curious, open, he liked to experiment, and he also had an empathetic mindset. He really understood people deeply. He was able to go beyond his own biases and really focus on the real human needs behind the channel. So with these mindsets, he was able to create the most unconventional solutions that no one can think of, and was able to solve problems based on the root cause instead of just using brute force like the Lanterns did. So I think this is kind of a good lesson for educational technology because it kind of shows that the power of technology really depends on the mindset of the user. Without the mindsets, AI doesn't amplify human potential. It actually will replace it. You'll get faster results, but you're stripping away the humanness, the empathy, the creativity, and agency. And you can actually see this in a Stanford University study where workers who use Gen AI most effectively, most successfully, called outperformers, they had the creative and empathetic mindset. They actually used Gen AI as a teammate instead of like a tool. Once they got responses, they didn't just listen to it and just do that. They actually asked questions, challenged it, provided feedback, iterated, and co-created. So really like turning every exchange into like creative dialogue. And then in contrast, we had the underperformers who used Gen AI more like an oracle, basically listening to the first response, thinking it's the right answer, instead of like a starting point where there could be more exploration and more discovery. And one of the researchers in the study stated that Gen AI helped workers avoid awful ideas, but it was also led to more average ones. So the difference between the outperformers and the underperformers really isn't skill, it's the mindset. And I can't help going back to Kyle Rayner and just thinking how similar he is to the outperformers, because they didn't only rely on the tools to do the work. Both actually brought their own imagination, empathy, and vision into the work. And if we don't really develop the mindsets of our students, I think we might make some of the early mistakes that we've done in the past in their tech. I'm thinking more about the early 2010s when we first started getting iPads into schools, like the first adoption. I remember watching Apple commercials promising creativity, innovation, but in reality, without explicit teaching in like inquiry-based learning, project-based learning, creative problem solving, the device was more used for consumption instead of exploration and creation. So tools evolve, but without the right mindsets, their potential can be lost. All right, so how do we develop our students' mindsets so that they can be the outperformers with Gen AI? I truly believe design thinking can be an answer. It is a human-centered approach to problem solving where it combines empathy, creativity, and experimentation to create solutions that actually bring positive change. So it kind of looks like this. So you frame a challenge, you make it big enough where you can invite discovery, but also narrow enough where you can take action. And then students gather inspiration. So they're doing a lot of empathy work, doing interviews, observations, immersing themselves to get as much information about the people they're helping, what they think, do, feel, and getting all that information and synthesizing it into insights, valuable insights we would have never known without empathy work. And taking those insights and generating creative solutions, as many as possible, trying to go beyond the obvious. And you take those solutions and make it tangible. You build it, you create it, and test it, iterate, until you have an innovative solution that you can then share to the community to really connect in an emotional level and really inspire the community with your solution. All right, so you can see design thinking really cultivates that empathetic and creative mindset. So within education, you can kind of think of it as an action-oriented inquiry process, but heavily relying on the human and imaginative lens. All right, so we have this powerful approach, and now we have this powerful tool, Gen AI. Let's kind of zoom into the ideation phase of design thinking so that we can see how this partnership works, but also how mindsets are involved. So let's say students are asked to redesign the school cafeteria experience. So instead of just having students go to Gen AI and ask for solutions, because it's going to provide some cool solutions, design thinking requires students to use their empathy mindset. So instead of, so you're guiding Gen AI instead of Gen AI leading the whole process. So again, they go through the process of empathy work, getting as much information about the people they're helping, context, and then providing it to Gen AI using a technique called assigned persona that I learned from IDEO, which pioneered design thinking. With all this information and all this new insight, Gen AI can now take on the role or adopt the perspective of a stakeholder. So within the school cafeteria situation, they could be a student, teacher, expert, etc. And the goal of this is to make sure that the responses are more focused, more relevant, and human-centered. And the ideas that are generated are from different stakeholders' perspectives. So for example, you can have Gen AI respond as Emma, a shy sixth grader who avoids the cafeteria because it's loud and crowded. And because of the empathy work and all the information that was gathered, the ideas are more pertaining to the stakeholder. So a quiet zone, a healthy grab-and-go station, or even a lunch buddy system. So again, it's all grounded in empathy work and real human experience. I really like design thinking partnering up with Gen AI because humans come first throughout this whole process. It is a human-centered design process. And though Gen AI is extremely powerful and its impact is big, it's actually a small part of the process. Students are doing a lot of the thinking and leading with this approach. I kind of like to picture it as like a photographer. We kind of capture the focus, the story, the meaning, the composition, but Gen AI is more like a camera. It can sharpen and brighten the image and expand the view, but really, the vision is still ours, and we as a photographer are the drivers of the whole process. Since we are starting to give students Gen AI capabilities, it is essential that they need the mindsets. They need to develop the mindsets to use it wisely so that they can be powerful library managers. Design thinking can create those learning conditions and a culture to cultivate empathy, creativity, and agency. And I think when we do, I believe that they can actually craft their own transformative endings and really be the heroes of their story. I want to circle back to the hero's journey, from origin story to transformation, from struggle to then finding strength because of purpose. This was my origin story, filled with self-doubt. But over the years, developing the right mindsets, learning about design thinking, and then learning how to use technology in meaningful ways, I was able to kind of rewrite my story to a more transformative one. Basically feeling incapable to now being an author, podcaster, storyteller, all of these things. Through my journey, I really realized that it doesn't start with technology, it actually starts with